Hi folks, and welcome back to my garage. A few weeks ago I bought myself a Dellorto copy carburetor to put on my DS60D, which is getting the aluminium cylinder kit, but that bike's still being painted at the moment, so while I have that carburetor floating around, I thought I'll check out whether that carburetor will fit under the side cover of my DS60R as well. The 17mm Bing carburetor that's on the DS60R is a bit of a pick. It often gets cracked in the body, and then you get air leaks and stuff. So I just want to see for the future whether I can actually fit that carburetor. So here are the parts that you get with the carburetor. So there's the carb itself, obviously, and it comes with a manual choke. It's got a flange, screw-on flange for the air filter, because there's a thread on here. It comes with an air filter with an eccentric hole, so you can have different orientations. An adapter here as well for other air filters. Your connection for your throttle cable, obviously. It also comes with an adapter, and I've already replaced that one. The adapter that we're going to use is just put it into the light. The adapter we're going to use is slightly smaller, so that's good. That fits the intake manifold. Comes with a gasket. That's the intake manifold that's going to be used on the VS, but it's not going to fit the DS, so we're using the original DS intake manifold. So here is our DS60R, and there's the big 17. On my bike I've got a tank from RBO that I was given as a present a few years ago, and I still need to shorten that thread of the tank a little bit, so that whole fuel tap is very low, and it's actually interfering here with the choke pin. But that shouldn't stop us today. So I'll take the side cover off, I'll take the carburetor off, and we'll fit that Dellorto carb and just see what it fits. So here's the Bing 17 carburetor and a rubber intake. So standard. I'm not using the little snorkel at the moment. The first thing I notice is that the carburetor certainly doesn't fit over the fuel tray here, so that has to come off now as well. So I've fitted the carburetor onto the intake manifold, and there's a few things that become apparent very quickly. So hopefully there'll be enough light here. The float bowl is touching the bracket for the clutch cable support, so that's something that needs to be done here. And if you look at the top, you've got your manual choke unit. I think that's also gonna hit the frame. So I'm not sure whether that is good enough for a Dellorto carburetor. We're looking at about a 5 to 10 degree angle. I'm not sure whether that will work or not, but it probably won't. I haven't done anything. The carburetor is still on its angle. Let's see whether I can fit the cover over it. No air filter as yet. Let's have a look. So at the moment there's just a little bit of a contact here at that screw, but I think once the carburetor is straight or straighter, that would actually work. Let's give that a go. So what I'll do, I'll take the side cover off, and I'll take maybe the float ball off, and also take the choke mechanism off, and then see whether the side cover will fit on it. Otherwise, it looks like there's good access to the fuel connection and also the throttle cable. So I think that's okay. We're not far off here. As you see, look at the holes. You can already see them. We're probably about 3-4 millimeters away from them actually fitting properly where they belong. I've taken the float ball off, as you can see, and I've also removed the choke mechanism. And now the carburetor is beautifully sitting where it should be, and it can be rotated into the horizontal position. And I also fitted the air filter, as you can see, to point over as far as I can towards the bike, and let's see whether the side cover fits or not. Oh god. Alright. Oh, look at that. There's our holes here, and yep, we can easily do that. We have to push down onto the air filter a little bit, so maybe if I just adjust that over a little bit to go down. It might actually help. Yep, that's much better now. So I think that's a good fit. And if you look at the top here, there's good access to the throttle, and the fuel line can run past there easily as well. We definitely have to do something about the choke mechanism, maybe closing it off and then running it without a choke. But I'm actually looking at where it is. The carburetor actually sits quite forward, so there is actually a little bit of leeway to, just looking at that, there's quite a bit of space. So I'm just thinking, if we added another gasket here, that would bring the whole assembly up a little bit. That might just be enough for us to fit the float bowl here. So I'll give that a go. If you look at the bottom of the float bowl, you got that round area here, and it looks to me like you could actually shave that edge off. That would give you almost up about a millimeter extra space. So if the solution with the gasket leaves us a little bit short, then there's something we could do about that one here. As far as the choke goes, I'm actually not sure whether this can be disassembled. So that's a manual choke here, there's no cable through it, so you just pull that and then you can rotate it sideways. But I believe there is lots of Dellorto choke conversion kits available online, and what could be done is just make a plug, and maybe something that will close that hole off in there. So probably that part plus that, and then maybe it just can be sealed off at the top. I looked at the thread, and it is an M9 thread, which of course is unusual, but it should be possible to maybe make a short screw here as well, and then push that plunger on the spring down here, and then just disable the choke altogether. So I fitted the 2 extra gaskets here, so it's a total of 3 thick gaskets plus the 2 old paper gaskets that were already there. And so I'll slide the carburetor on now, and it fits on nicely. And let's have a look at what we have. Let's have a look at the float bowl at the bottom, and I can see, so it's just touching a little bit, so it's actually preventing it. But if I just put it on a bit of a angle here, it will actually slide over. So we talked about that extra millimeter that might actually come in handy now. But for now, we'll just slide it over and pretend. So it's not perfect as it is now, but let's pretend it's where we want it to be. Obviously, on the other side, the choke mechanism is now gone as well. So let's try to fit that cover onto it. It's always difficult doing this one-handed. Okay, alright, so let's have a look at the holes here. So there's plenty of room here on this side, but if you actually bring this up, you can actually see that the top edge of the cover is now it's actually at the frame. So when we bring in the other side cover, that certainly can't do that. I've already removed the rubber edging to make it fit a bit better, and it's just too low. So that's not going to work, unfortunately, but obviously there's always something that can be done. So I would probably fabricate a new bracket, which is exact copy of the old one, and then just shift those retaining nuts down by about 5-6 millimeters, just to compensate for the lift that we've done here, to bring that all back into the original position. So I'm just putting the side cover back on, and just see where we end up if we push that back roughly to its original position. So here is where it is now. So I'll just push that down about 6 millimeters, closer to where it should originally be. And as you can see, the top of the carburetor still pokes nicely and beautifully through the original hole. So I think that's probably the way to go. So we're looking at those extra gaskets. We're probably still looking at shaving a little bit of that 1 millimeter of the float bowl, and doing something about the choke mechanism and closing that off. Alright, and that's that. So hopefully you found this useful. So as a summary, the carburetor does fit. Some modifications are required. You have to add some gaskets. You have to modify or fabricate the bracket here, and you have to do something about the choke mechanism. Otherwise, it fits nicely, and it's definitely an option to use the Dellorto carb on the DS60R and still keeping the side covers. Hope you find this useful, and we'll see you again next time. Cheers. Bye.